What's going on, folks? Episode 2 of Locke's Early Bird Special. Shout out to my guy, Gift of Nothing, I believe his name was, who actually titled this episode, or this show, I should say. Nice and early look at the following event that we got coming up, which is headlined by Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. Goes down March 20th, again, which is next Saturday. So I just wanted to give like a quick early look. I'll quickly go through every single fight and then see what everybody's thoughts are on it. But again, this is all pre-taped. This is all, no research done or anything like that. Just all early looks. I just want to make sure that the best fight odds has all the fights that are actually on here. So we got on Tapology, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights. And we have odds for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights. Perfect. Love it when it matches up. Yeah, I skimmed through the odds the other day, and some of them actually stood out to me a little bit more than the other ones. Obviously, when I wanted to do these shows, I was hoping to have the current week's podcast done with as well too, but I've been falling a little bit behind on schedule. If you guys tuned into the Locky late night episode yesterday, you guys, or I should say early this morning, you guys will know that I'm already I'm going to be leaving the day job within the next, by Monday I should have an idea of when my last day of work will be, because our last busy season wraps up at the end of this week, and then once that hits, it's off to the races. We're getting ahead of schedule, and we're adding a couple other promotions to the list to maybe do a couple Lockcast episodes on Bellator shows, LFA, whatever it is. But got to get my ass ahead of schedule once again. So if you guys are new to this show, I'm not going to be answering about this current week's fight. This is all for the Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson card, which is next week. All right, let me just run through the odds here real quick, and I'll give you guys my quick thoughts on them. And then by all means, please do leave your questions. Again, I'll skip over anything that has to pertain with the Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards card, and only focusing on stuff for next week's card. All right, so just starting off at the bottom, I'm going to start off with the order that Best Fight Odds has it at. So Macy Chiasson versus Marion Renault. That was a fight that was booked a couple weeks ago. I want to say maybe even a couple months ago at this point in time. But that was a spot that I had a play on Marion Renault at plus 180-ish. Seems like that's the same odds we're going to be getting this time around. And there are a couple other dogs that I'm looking at that I might bet on instead of Renault, but I do like Renault in this spot still. From what I remember about her breakdown, or that fight specifically, it was just Macy Chiasson kind of muscling a bit too much with her opponents, especially her last fight against Shanna Young, a fighter that she, outweighed heavily, came in on short notice with Shanna Young, and she did fight at the weight class below normally. And Chiasson just absolutely bullied her, but was making crucial mistakes later in this fight, just based off of, I believe, possibly gassing out, or again, less technique, more muscle is what we've been getting from Chiasson. And Renault, she is up there in age, but she still has some solid technique. Black belt in jiu-jitsu as well too. I feel like she could take advantage of Chiasson's missteps from possibly gassing later on in that fight. And it's a spot that I looked at for a potential round 3 play as well. So we'll see what those odds release at once they drop the props. Anthony Burchak against Johnny Eduardo. I'm surprised to see Johnny Eduardo's name. It's been a while since we saw that guy fought. Personally, I saw him fight live against Aljo back in 2015 when Aljo tapped him out. Johnny Eduardo, 40 years old. Hasn't fought since June of 2018. So the guy's approaching 3 years since we've seen him in the cage. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. I guess he could have a much better opponent that he's going up against, considering that he's fighting Anthony Burchak here. who's coming off a loss to Gustavo Lopez when he got RNC'd in the middle of the first round. In his fight, that was in November. And again, I believe he took that fight on short notice too. So in terms of the odds, we got minus 130 Berichek, plus 100 Johnny Eduardo. I got to totally dust up on Eduardo and what his game is. Like, if I'm not mistaken, that was the last time he fought was possibly even before I even had a podcast, or at least I started my podcast a couple months before that. So long time since we've seen Johnny Eduardo in the cage. I'm trying to hold back my yawns for some reason. I just woke up from a nap. I should be refreshed and ready to go. Should probably had some coffee ready to go too. All right. Brad Riddell versus Gregor Gillespie, minus 185 for Gregor, plus 160 for Brad Riddell. I'm a huge Gregor Gillespie fan. I mean, he should be able to go out there and kind of grapple fuck Brad Riddell, but it's hard to trust, what the status of his chin is. I believe the last time we saw him was UFC 244, which was November of 2019, when he got knocked the fuck out by Kevin Lee. So yeah, we know he's always going to have the best wrestling, especially when he's not going up against another wrestler. But Brad Riddell hits like a fucking truck, ever improving. Great Muay Thai, as we obviously know. But Gregor Gillespie, man, this might be a y'all must have forgot moment. And, first time he ever got knocked out, people are always hesitant to back a guy after he's coming off a significant knockout. But at minus 185, it seems like a bit of a steal given his skill set. So, yeah, I like Gregor there. Not 100% sure if I'll back him. Possible lock of the night play up and coming up here. Jamal Hill minus 290, Paul Craig plus 245. I do like Jamal Hill there. I know a couple, maybe last week, it came out. He put out a statement saying that he got tested positive for COVID. They're going to be, monitoring it. If he's not ready to go and ready to fight, they'd pull him out and they'd reassess it. So we'll have to see come fight week if he's still in the fight. And I wouldn't believe a guy who's, coming off of the biggest one of his career, getting close to that title contention spot would risk his spot up there by fighting a guy like Paul Craig if he wasn't 100%. So I'm gonna look past the COVID narrative if he does end up fighting. I don't mind that chalk either because the guy looks great and I feel like he could give Paul Craig a ton of trouble on the feet. So again, this is all pre-tape. JP Bays versus Bruno Silva. We got minus 120 or minus 210 on JP Bays, plus 175 on Bruno Silva. If I'm not mistaken, Bruno Silva is the guy that just fought Tagir Ulanbekov. Yep. And he gave Ulanbekov a really tough fight. I'd have to go through the tape once again to truly polish myself up on those two guys. But I remember JP Bays, Fortis MMA guy, solid wrestling, solid jiu-jitsu, had a successful contender series fight. I do lean him, but Bruno Silva is definitely a dog. Kay Hansen, Cheyenne buys, obviously the wife of JP Bays. I feel like they're supposed to say Bays, not buys. But either way, minus 160 for Bays, plus 145 for Hansen. I don't recall what Bays' schedule or fight is like, or style is like, because I didn't, study for the contender series or anything like that. So I'm not sure what she truly brings to the table. Kay Hansen, obviously, we know she's a high-level solid jiu-jitsu player, still young in her career. I believe she's coming off a super close decision loss to Corey McKenna. Before that, I believe she tapped out Jinyu Fry. Still has a bright future. Kind of surprised that she's at, plus 145, considering how much of a prospect a lot of people are making her out to be. But maybe that's a further testament to how good Cheyenne is. So I'm looking forward to breaking that one down. Minus 245 for Tai Tuivasa against Dontel Mays here. I'm not a big Tuivasa fan. You know what I mean? Dontel Mays isn't the greatest fighter either, but plus 205 seems to be a little bit steep. Is Ty going to be able to knock this guy out? If not, it's probably going to play out as a much closer fight than the odds indicate. And then Mays is a big dude himself too, solid striker. I believe last time out he beat Roque Martinez. So he, Mays kind of jumps off of the page as a possible dog here. Solid dogs as well too. Trevin Giles, minus 150 against Dricus Duplessis, minus 150 to plus 130. Never been high on Giles, so I'm kind of surprised to see him as, a solid favorite here over Dricus Duplessis, who, had a little bit of hype coming into the UFC, knocked the hell out of Eric Perez last time around. I believe that was in October. Yeah, I lean Duplessis there, as again, I'm not the biggest on trials, but I do gotta kind of refresh my memory with his fight with Bevan Lewis. But that fight seems like it's uh uh you know the favorite should be the underdog in my opinion. But again, this is all a pre-tape. Grant Dawson versus Leonardo Santos, minus 200 for Dawson, plus 170 for Leonardo Santos. Leonardo Santos, hasn't been the most active guy, but he has a very impressive 18-3-1 record. Um, has yet to lose, or sorry, yeah, has yet to lose officially in the UFC. Um, he lost on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil 2 as an exhibition match to one Santiago Ponzinibbio, and since then he's been undefeated in the UFC. William Macario beat him, went to a draw against Norman Park, uh, beat Efrain Escudero by decision, and this is all the way back in 2014. The guy just does not fight that often. RNC'd Anthony Rocco Martin, knocked out Kevin Lee, into a decision with Adriano Martins, knocked out Stevie Ray, probably one of the best knockouts from a jiu-jitsu guy I've ever seen. And then obviously that Roman Bogotov fight, which was plagued by fouls by Roman. I believe they cut Roman right after that. But pre-tape, I'm kind of like in Leonardo here. The high-level jiu-jitsu black belt, and Grant Dawson needs that wrestling game going to truly win his fights. And Santos is, his stand-up is heavily underrated, and he has a ton of knockout power too. So I'm interested to tape that one. But I like Santos there. Adrian Yanez minus 190. Gustavo Lopez plus 165. I lean Yanez here, amazing on the feet, but Gustavo is, I think, heavily overlooked all the time. I think Yanez will have the better of the striking, but I think Gustavo has a solid overall game, possibly mixing some takedowns if he wants to as well too. But I like Yanez there. I'm not sure if I like him as that big of a favorite. We need to see a little bit more of him, and not just against a guy like Victor Rodriguez. But yeah, I think Giannis has a bright future. But this is a good test for him. Solid little step up against Gustavo here. But yeah, Giannis should win that fight. I'm not sure if I'll bet him there. Max Griffin minus 160 against Song Kanon plus 140. I lean Max Griffin here. I feel like he has Song beat almost everywhere here. With that said, I was kind of surprised to see Song go out there. And what was his last fight? There was a fight where I was just like, oh, he actually won this fight. Alex Morono, I want to say it was. No, that was a while ago. His last fight was Calvin Potter. Yeah, last February. Yeah, I got to tape up on him. For all I remember, he was like mainly a striker, a big guy too. I believe he even fought Adesanya on the regional scene. But I lean Max Griffin pretty heavily there. Minus 160 seems like a little bit of a steal, but I got to run the tape on Song again just to remind myself. Then we got Julia Stoliarenko versus Yulia Stoliarenko against Julia Villa. This one, I think this is completely mislined. Minus 350 for Avila and plus 290 for the Lithuanian Ronda Rousey Stoliarenko. I feel like Stoliarenko could be a solid dog spot here, especially at those heavy odds. From what I remember off the top of my head, Avila is one of those fighters that likes to use her strength, her grappling, her clinch game to grind out her opponents. But that's where Yulia wants to fight as well. She wants to be in those clinch positions. She wants to be on the ground. She wants to be using her jiu-jitsu. And, Avila really fell flat on her face against Jar Eubanks, especially in the grappling realms. Now, if you're giving me a much better jiu-jitsu player here in Stoliarenko, or at least a more offensive jiu-jitsu player in Stoliarenko, I almost have to take a shot. You know what I mean? You guys know me. I'm the women's MMA whisperer, and this one seems like it's screaming to me right now. Got to run the tape still. Maybe I'm just feeling scarred still from parlaying Avila last time. against Zara in a fight that I thought she'd have handily beat, but she came up short, showing some holes in her game, and I feel like Yulia could definitely exploit those. So close to plus 300 is absolute insanity. Kind of surprised at that line, so maybe taking a small shot on Yulia there, even pre-tape. And the main event, Kevin Holland minus 170, Derek Brunson plus 150. You guys know I'm a big Derek Brunson stan, especially with him cashing big for me against Edmir Shabazian. And I feel like this might be another solid spot for us to go out there and fade a guy who isn't as proven as Derek Brunson, in my opinion. Obviously, I faded him with Jacare Souza as well, too, and that probably wasn't the best. But if I'm going to go out there and fade him with Jacare Souza around plus 120, I damn sure better as well go out there and fade him with Derek Brunson at plus 150. But I got to run the tape still. Brunson seems like a guy that's kind of turned the corner since joining Sanford MMA, using his skills a little bit better. His cardio has been looking better, using his wrestling, using his overall game. And the one thing that sticks out to me for Kevin Holland, which was only 4 fights ago or 3 fights ago, his fight against Darren Stewart, where he, struggling to get off of his back in that 3rd round. And when you have a good wrestler like Derek Brunson with decent top pressure, Kevin Holland could be in some trouble there. But what we saw in that Jacare Souza fight was a guy that just said, stop disrespecting your boy. Give me some respect. I can fuck anybody up. So pre-tape, I'm on Derek Brunson, but we'll see once we run the tape. All right, let's get into the chat here. We got about 27 people. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you guys hit the like as well too. That truly helps your boy out, letting us know that you enjoy this content. Let me just take a swig of water and then we'll get into the chat. Rex Lee is nice and early in the house. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Robot Chicken Wings is saying, my boy Robot Chicken Wings. Thank you, brother. More with less to say, what up? What's going on? Ben Peak in the house, fellow Patreon member. Thank you, brother, for stopping by. Danny Legs, thanks for stopping by as always. I think we got a good Holland KO line. Do not want to lay chalk on that fight. Ooh, interesting. Seems like you're on a Holland nice and early here. Who do I got? Nicolau Cape. I haven't taped that fight again. That's for this weekend, so I'm not going to be going talking about that fight too much. Thank you. Who you? I'll be betting MMA and clubbing in Tijuana this weekend. They opened up. Nice. That's some dope shit. John is swinging by. Robot Chicken Wings is on the hill all day. Again, pre-tape. I really like him in that spot. Already have a bet on Kay Hansen. Okay, I don't blame you there. Again, all pre-tape. I gotta remind myself or figure out what Cheyenne Buys is really good at, and as to why she's the minus 165 favorite there. Danny Legs on Gregor moneyline and Gregor sub. Ooh, not a bad spot. I don't mind that. Kay may be a good underdog picker. I thought she won her last fight. Yeah, I had Hansen in a small parlay as well too, and I think she was the only one that busted that parlay. And personally, I thought that Kay won that fight as well. Santos is 40. Only problem. Is he? Leonardo Santos is 40 years old. God damn, you're right. He's 41. Turned 41 in February. Good point, brother. Sage Lawrence is stopping by. Kevin Holland to lock the night. Nah. At least pre-tape. Nah. Malik Johnson, what's going on, dude? Robot Chicken Wings. Everyone hit that like for the goat. Yes, please do. Not the goat yet, but we're working there. Ben Peak. Yulia went 5 rounds before, and Yulia hasn't sure. Sounds interesting. I'm assuming that you have a bit of a typo there, but yeah, she had that war, right? I think there was a 5-round fight with that chick where it was just a bloody mess. Yeah, I can't believe she's that big of a dog. Shabazian didn't gas. Would he have won? I don't know. I really don't know. I got to remember how that first round was going because I don't recall it. All I remember was Edmund starting to gas and Derek Brunson taking over just as I predicted, and then getting that 3rd round win just as I predicted, thanks to Herb Dean for wanting to see a dead man that night and not stopping that fight at the end of the 2nd round. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't recall how that first round went. Robot checking was more or less no, he would have gotten his ass beat longer. Interesting. Ben Peak. Lock one with 600 dogs. Again, this is all pre-tape. Did I really pick 6 underdogs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you're right. Well, 7. Renault, Hansen, maybe. Mays, maybe. Duplessis, Leonardo Santos, Derek Brunson, Yulia Stolyarenko. Again, all pre-tape. I might look back at this and be like, what the fuck was I thinking picking Kay Hansen or whatever the fuck it's gonna be. Love that you're taking it back to basics, good money on confident bets. Let's get it. Yes, sir. We ain't fucking around. We ain't fucking around. I ain't trying to appease anybody out there other than trying to cash these lock in night tickets. And yeah, we ain't getting pushed off the what's the word that I'm looking for? The mission. The mission is cash and lock of the night bets. No worse than minus 350. If they are my surest bet of the night, they're my lock of the night. Don't give a fuck. Santos hasn't lost since 2009, and that was a split decision. Yeah, man. I just wish he would have fought more. Who knows where he could have gotten, especially coming off a huge win. Well, I guess maybe at the time it wasn't the biggest one, but when he beat Kevin Lee, I was at that card. That was the Aldo McGregor card, UFC 194. Crazy finish there. I remember that. But yeah, he's only had 3 fights since then, and that was December of 2015. So it'll be nice to see the guy get in the cage a little bit more, but he's really got to get it going. Robot Chicken Wings thinks that Stolyarenko is a good dog. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that she is a great dog. Just based off of her offensive jiu-jitsu alone. And yeah. Buzz Mafia, I'll answer this one question, but just letting you know, the stream is strictly for next week's card. Hence the early bird special name. What's the odds for Stewart by decision? I can't. Anders putting him away. Stewart via decision is Stewart via decision is plus 140. Not a bad spot. So yeah, next week's card, other spots. So in terms of possible over-unders, that again, none of these odds are out yet, but possible over-unders that might be intriguing are the Brunson and Holland. Like if they give us over-under 1.5 or 2.5, I know it's a 5-round fight, but if they give us 1.5 or 2.5, I'd definitely take the over. I think that this could be a slower paced fight. I think Derek Brunson's chin issues could be behind him at this point in time. Kevin Holland, not that like crazy one punch knockout power, but that beating he put on Jacare Souza was absolutely vicious. I'd be surprised to see Derek Brunson in a similar situation there. Stolyarenko, Avila under 2.5. I'd be interested in seeing what that line is like. Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig. I'm guessing that's going to be at 1.5. And then Riddell and Gillespie. If that's at 2.5 and the under is like better than plus 200, I'd be interested in that as well too. Yeah, no. We're not saying that guy's name in here, just saying. You guys bring that fucking nutcase's name into my chat, I'm blocking you right away. Yeah, nice little early look to next week. That's what I'm hoping to do. Next week's episode of the Early Bird Special will actually be the last in the consecutive weeks because March 27th, which is the pay-per-view for Stipe and Ngannou. After that, there's a 1 weekend break. So we have April 3rd off, and then we're right back at it. I believe after that, then we're on a 7-event streak of straight events, just back to back to back to back once again. And that should take us well into June at that point in time. Bad Peaks, I won money on Kevin in his last fight, but I don't think he should be minus 170 against Derek. Yeah. Again, I don't know what it is I have against Kevin. The kid's fun to watch. He's entertaining and he definitely has some skill and some potential. But now that he's finally taken solid steps up in competition, he's fighting guys that could possibly exploit him. And given some of the deficiencies we've seen in his past fights, I feel like Derek Brunson could definitely exploit those. Um, there's one more thing I was going to say about Kevin Holland's fight here. Kind of escaping me. I got a filling put in today. First time I've ever had a filling put in, and they numbed my mouth, or at least the left side of my mouth. And that was at 5:30, and it just started wearing off recently. But goddamn, I've never felt like such a, I want to say R word, but I ain't trying to get canceled over here. But yeah, that was probably one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had in my life. So yeah, floss, kids. Make sure you floss. Might have to get my wisdom teeth removed as well too. We'll have to see what the doctors say about that. All four of them, apparently. But I ain't trying to get through that type of pain for a couple days. I am excited for next week's card though. In terms of how they line up, I feel like this weekend's card is a little bit funner, especially with the return of Leon Edwards. And then obviously, Cape taking on Nicolau on short notice. But next week's card, right? We got the return of Gregor Gillespie, a guy who I've been so high on in the past. Jamal Hill, another 205 potential contender. Stoliarenko against Avila should be a fun fight. Without odds in mind there, I still think that could be a fun fight. Grant Dawson against Leonardo Santos is a great fight. Max Griffin against Song Kanon could be a great fight. And then obviously the main event, Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland, that should be a fun fight as well. After I hop off the stream, I'm going to be doing a couple of recordings for this week's card. Going to drop them on the Patreon as soon as I'm done. Let's see what you guys got here. Pepe Silva, Kevin Holland is man, but it's hard to forget Store Round 3 and the Brendan Allen loss. Should be interested to see how it plays out. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Pepe. Those things do stick out. And one thing we have to do is always give the benefit of the doubt to these fighters that they're getting better, especially Kevin Holland now, right? How old is this guy? Kevin Holland is 28 years old. Can't believe I'm a year older than this guy. But yeah, he's getting better. And we got to assume that they've fixed those mistakes from the fights that, that Darren Stewart and that Brendan Allen fight. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. I find it interesting, actually. I follow Randa Marcos on Snapchat, and she's down training at his gym. She's down at Travis Luter's gym in Texas. Kind of a weird, she's got to know that this is probably her last stand in the UFC, going up against another newcomer. That Kanako Murata fight was a tough one for her. And now she's going up against another newcomer who is a minus 200 favorite over her. So she decided to go train with Travis Luter for this upcoming camp. Interested to see how that helps her out. But I can't remember anybody else that comes out of that gym other than Kevin Holland. So yeah, interesting choice there, but something she felt like she needed to do. So let's see what these other fighters are up to. I always like creeping their IG and stuff. See if they're doing anything that we weren't really expecting from them. So like Derek Brunson has been down in Sanford MMA and getting insanely good training in. He looks in damn good shape. Yeah, this is a 6-week training camp for him. But he's been spending most of it at Sanford MMA. Looks in damn good shape, though. I got to give him that. Let's see what Kevin Holland's up to. Just chilling at the bar. I guess he's enjoying the time that Texas is opening up their borders and shit. He's another guy. Him. Oh, weird. He actually posted a picture of him getting tapped out by Brendan Allen. They think that I think that I'm unstoppable. No, 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 no. Hype train. No, 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 no. Don't give a fuck. Hungry and yup, yup, yup. You better believe it. Okay. Yeah, the guy's an interesting one, that's for sure. So yeah, those are pretty much the early thoughts here. I don't want to drag the stream on too long if people don't have too many other thoughts on this card. But yeah, all early thoughts. Birdcheck over Eduardo, Brunson over Holland, Griffin over Song, Yanez over Lopez, Santos over Dawson, Duplessis over Giles, Stoliarenko over Avila, Mays over Tuivasa, Hansen over Bays over Silva, Hill over Craig, Renault over Chiasson, and Gillespie over Riddell. All pre-tape thoughts, and that's 7 dogs out of 13 fights. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Also thinking that these streams will probably be better served as half-an-hour shows rather than hour shows. So unless you guys got a couple questions left here, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna start putting in work into the upcoming card here. But yeah, I just want to get my thoughts out there, see what other people are thinking about for this for next weekend's card. And we'll see there too. Ben Peak also follows Rana Marcos on Snapchat. I always feel like she be something more than she showed. Exactly. She's so like she's very quiet. I mean, like I work one of her regional shows up here in Ottawa. And I actually had to go buy her a pregnancy test because that's a part of the medicals um for women. So yeah, it was hilarious having to go buy a pregnancy test for her. But yeah, she's nice, she's sweet, but she's quiet as fuck, just as you think. SKD, any chance Craig gets her done over Hill? It's possible. Yeah, I mean, if he does find himself on the ground, but I don't think that we'll see it on the ground. I think Hill will do a good enough job of keeping it on the feet, and possibly putting this guy away. But yeah, I really like Hill there, and I don't think the juice is that bad on it. Mays is a bum. He could be. He could be. But I don't believe that highly entitled to Avasa either, especially for him to be a minus 245. I think Holland was injured in the Stewart fight. Gift of nothing, he's saying he was. Interesting. That's the first time hearing about that. Ben Peak is saying he messaged her on the IG. I was actually, so if you guys have been following me for a while, pre-COVID, I used to do Combative Swords, which is like a more of a talk show type of podcast where I had guests come in. I had Cody come in. I had a couple fighters come in. I had a couple journalists come in. And in studio, we would do a podcast. We would just drink, we'd smoke, whatever the fuck, and just talk some shit. And she was going to be one of my guests. I had Josh Hill and I had Rana Marcos both lined up to come in studio and be on the podcast. Then COVID happened. And now I don't know if I'll ever do that in studio type of thing again. Maybe down in the future, but at least I know that she's down to come by and do on it. How does Brunson win this? Feels like Holland hasn't covered, but I'm not certain Brunson has a 30% takedown accuracy. Yeah. I'm not a huge statistics guy, but I feel like it's a fight to fight thing. Like styles make fights, and I feel like he could take Holland down. I just got to remember how he beat Edmund. Yeah, I mean, I know Edmund started slowing down in that fight as well too, but Brunson's a vet, solid wrestling, has decent power in his hands. Has been looking better since moving down to Sanford MMA. I got to give it a look, but it's tough to, you can only take statistics so far in MMA because every single fight is a different stylistic fight. Yeah. Gift of nothing. May struggles every fight and also not knockout power, no submission, just a point fighter. True. But again, I'm not huge on Tuivasa either. That's the thing. That's the only thing. I gotta run the tape. But Tai Tuivasa to me is just a guy that needs that knockout. That's really about it. So if Mays is a point fighter and he can stay away from the big power of Tai Tuivasa, he could potentially just outpoint Tuivasa here. So you're proving my point. Thank you, gift of nothing. Arlen M is saying MMA statistics equals LOL. It works to a certain extent. Like if you have a fighter that's been in the UFC for a long time, or they're coming over from the WEC and they have a huge sample size, sure, it could be a little bit more accurate. But again, like somebody's fought Merab Dvalishvili, their takedown defense rate is going to be so low. You fight Khabib Nurmagomedov, their takedown defense is going to be so low. And then conversely, it's tricky how you got to implement MMA statistics when you're running tape and you're breaking down fights. You got to pick and choose the spots that you think would be better. Ben Peak is saying, just rewatch Darren versus Kevin. Darren out wrestled Kevin Hart in the third. Yeah. I just remember, Darren Stewart, like, on top of him at the end of that fight, just wailing on him, saying, come on, Kevin, in his hood British voice. All right, I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. I'm gonna get to work on my podcast for this week. Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you haven't already, please do hit that like. That definitely helps your boy out. I'll be back next week for another episode of the Early Bird Special. It'll be a Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll look forward to UFC 260 on that episode. But throughout this week, I'm going to be dropping my podcast in the next couple of days or so. And then obviously I got the regular streams Thursday afternoon. The DFS show should drop on Salvetri's channel. Thursday evening, we have the Propping You Up show with me and Cody. Friday evening, we have the final weigh-in with the whole odds crew. Saturday, I have my fight day show at 1 p.m. Eastern. So a ton of content coming right back up. Thank you, Ben Peak. Again, I don't want to make these ones too long if they don't need to be too long. So see what's up. Arlene M is saying, when does this week's podcast come out? Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Falling a little bit behind schedule, but I'm going to be recording a couple breakdowns tonight. Hoping to do a couple more tomorrow. I want to say no later than Thursday. Fuck, I wish I could get it out earlier, but I want to get it out as soon as I can. All right? I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. I hate keeping you guys waiting too long, especially when I'm telling you that the podcast is going to drop every Monday. But again, like I said at the top of the show, and like I said on the Lucky Late Night last night, the 9 to 5 is coming to a close here. So your boy's going to be way ahead of schedule very shortly. And going full hog in this MMA thing. Thanks to you guys. Again, hit that like if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe as well too if you haven't. And I'll see you guys throughout the week. Thanks for the support as always. Good luck on your best this weekend. And again, I'll see you guys throughout the week.